And our meeting theme of today is a Roman New Year, because the early Romans had only 10 months and the New Year started in March 1st. January and February came later. And it was named after wargod Mars, because of the wintertime, but also it was the god of the crops. And presumed that one of those was the meaning of Mars. And the word of today is nascent, I don't know how to speak it out, is beginning to exist. That said, I want to introduce the timer, and since you are new here, Amaru, the timer, I will explain the role of the timer.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amaru Gonzalez, and I will be the timer of the evening. My role will consist mainly in timing all the speeches that you will do during the session, and I will change through colors. So for the main speakers, green will be when you are on 5 minutes, then yellow to 6 minutes, and red with 7 minutes, letting you know when they're ready, so you still have 30 seconds to finish your speech. Thank you. Back to Fred.
Thank you, Amaru, for the good description. Next to that, I will introduce the A counter, which will be done by Els. Els, will you please describe your role?
Yes. Most people like speeches more when we speak relatively fluent. And that means you try to reduce the filler words. You try to reduce those stumbling words like and, so. Sometimes repetition of words. I used to say, right? I was famous for right, or actually. And it's a matter of paying attention from, do you really have to say the word? And then you can improve, thereby giving a better presentation, speech. You come across better. So I'm going to pay attention to those filler words, and I report back at the end of the evening.
Yes, of course, Els has also another role. I think.
Apologies, there is still another important role to introduce, that is the general evaluator.
Okay, sorry, the general evaluator. I'm sorry. And this is done by Kim Tin. Kim Tin, please explain your role.
Last year I was at a Shell Toastmasters meeting, and we had one speaker who was called Khalil, and we had a speech evaluator who is called Dina. And when Dina had to evaluate Khalil, she told us how good Khalil was, what an impression he made, and that she looked forward to his next speech. Then we said, do you have any points for improvement for Khalil? You know what she said? Oh no, I cannot criticize Khalil. He's my friend. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Remember that evaluating is not criticizing to bring a person down. It's giving points for improvement to get better, and that's why we're here at Toastmasters. So for evaluation, I will evaluate everything which has not been evaluated, for the reason that your meeting here is worthwhile to have been here. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Kim Tin, for your explanation. And now we go to our quizmaster, Els. Yes?
Yes. My first question. As we all want to be competent speakers, why do we want our speech to be memorable? Why would we like our speech or what we are saying to be memorable? There is no good or bad answer. Just give some
To feel worthwhile.
To feel worthwhile.
Because everyone loves takeaway.
Very good. Everybody loves takeaway.
To bring your point across.
I didn't actually catch that. I'm sorry. Can you repeat?
Another reason to be memorable, to be able to bring your point across.
Yes. To be able to bring your point
Can you hear me?
across.
I think my connection is not stable.
Did I hear somebody else? No? Okay, so we have here 3 points. Now, in order to be memorable, you might use a certain method. What method could you use to keep the speech longer in people's focus, attention?
Repeat, repeat, repeat.
Very good. 3 times. Repeat. Somebody has another answer to that question?
I said asking questions. Do you hear me, by the way? Asking questions.
Acupuncture?
Asking questions.
Asking questions. Yes. Yes.
You can't hear me probably. Can you hear me? Can the rest hear me properly?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's true, actually. By asking questions, somehow you hook. You can, with the right question, which we discussed last time, you can actually hook more into somebody's mind. Now,
Tell a story.
you want a story.
By telling a story. Make
By
your
telling a story.
speech memorable.
Now, the point here, because I'm not making it up, just to show you, I'm not making it up. Yeah. The science of being memorable. Here they say give a surprise twist to your speech. Can somebody give me an example of what could be a surprise twist?
An open end.
Open end?
Open end. To be continued.
Maybe some change in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, plot twist.
Unexpected change. Yeah. Mohamed, you wanted to?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because it reminded me of a series that's very famous, Game of Thrones. And at the very beginning of Game of Thrones, there was a very main character that was very famous, and we expected that this character would be the hero. But then after a few episodes, he was killed. I can't remember the name. So yeah, if you make it unexpected, you might disappoint some people, but you will certainly make it very suspense. You'll add a lot of suspense to it. Thank you.
Exactly. It becomes then memorable because the first impression or the first inkling people get from your story, it's going this way. And then suddenly you go a different way. And that's where the attention is caught and people actually listen even more carefully to what you are saying.
Yes, I have one.
Yes, please.
Do not die because people will forget your name.
Okay. Okay. We'll try not to do that. Thank you very much. Let's see if we can repeat it at the end of the meeting. Over, back to you again, Toastmaster Fred.
Okay, thank you, Els, for the explanation for your quizzes. Now I don't know for sure who's the first in speech because I see Mohamed as the second speaker, And we got a second and a third speaker, so I can choose. Mohamed, are you ready for being a speaker?
So I have a question.
Yes.
To me, it's unclear who's evaluating who, because now Mohammed has joined as speaker, but who's evaluating him?
Yes, that's okay. So the second evaluator is for Sina is Magdalena. The evaluator for Faisal is Dominica. So, and who's left is for Mohamed. But Mohamed, are you ready for your speech?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Then I will explain. Yes.
Can we inquire, Sulain, would you be willing to evaluate? Do I put you very much on the spot here?
Yes, and I'm very, very unprepared.
You're very occupied.
No, unprepared. I haven't.
Okay. Please.
I have no idea what the speech evaluation should be about anymore.
So if you want to start to speak.
Okay, that was quiz 5 goes. What is the speech evaluation about, people?
No, I think my connection is not good also because it keeps lagging.
So I have a suggestion, because we are calling who's going to evaluate Mohammed, and it's kind of surprise. I suggest that we do a group evaluation, because nobody's prepared, nobody knows what his speech is about except me. So
yeah, I agree. That could be a good idea.
Group. Okay.
Okay.
It seems like Dominica also has internet difficulties.
Okay, that's okay. And the speech for tonight for Mohammed is, why do you need to stay calm? Mohammed, why do you need to stay calm? Mohammed, the stage is yours.
Have you ever wondered if it would be beneficial for you if you could stay calm in times of conflict? Or do you just know that this is the way to go? Now, I don't see a lot of hands, but yeah, let me explain to you why being calm is a good strategy during conflicts. When I first started my current job at the Rotterdam University of Applied Sciences as a teacher, I noticed that there was a module that was very relevant to what I had studied at my master's, but I was not scheduled for that. So I went straight to my colleague, Jean, who was responsible for dividing the courses amongst the teachers. And I asked him if I could give this course that semester. He was reluctant at the beginning, but then he said, okay, it's a course for part-time students. I'm willing to let you give this course. And then a month later, on the day of the lecture, my senior led me to the hall where the lecture would be given, and he introduced me to the students. Hello, everyone, he said. This is Mohamed Higazi. Mr. Higazi will be giving you the module Energy Technology. And then a few minutes later, he left. I looked at the students and I saw students in their 40s, even in their 50s. With these thoughts, my heart started beating faster. And I wanted to call for him. Come back! I want to go home! Well, luckily, I did not do that. Good evening, everyone, I said. Good evening, I heard back. And then I started talking about the usefulness of my lectures in relation to the exam, when suddenly a student interrupted me. Peter was his name. Yes, the same joke we hear every year. You're not going to be that useful, eh? I was sort of starstruck. I had to process this for a few seconds. And then I said, very calmly, what are you doing here then? I'm not here to say jokes, huh? And then he said, no, I think so. I kept calm. Then I said, what you think, you already said once. And I said, I am not here to make jokes. And I would like to leave it at that. And now I'm going to go further with the lecture. And I went further to explain the requirements of this module. Amongst other things, that they had to do 6 assignments and an exam at the end of the semester. He interrupted me again, this student, Peter, to protest that this was unrealistic and too much. To which I said I would note down his feedback, but that I would not make any promises with this. It turned out that this student was the class representative, and it kept going on this way time and time again, that Peter would give criticism that was unbased. Another example is his criticism on the way I graded the assignments. The way I did it was as follows. For every assignment, I gave good, not good, or half good if it was partly correct. Next lecture, he brought this up. Good, not good, half good. Pregnant, not pregnant, half pregnant. I thought, oh, great. I kept calm while everyone started laughing. I said, no, 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 you don't need to laugh. I love the interaction and I do not want to discourage it. Every comment counts, even this one. Let's see, Peter, what can I do with this? Yeah, not much, Peter, but hey, that's a new expression. It was a Dutch expression. They say zwanger, niet zwanger, half zwanger. Pregnant, not pregnant, half pregnant. Okay, thank you for teaching me a new expression. Great. And then about the assignment criticism that Peter brought up, I said that I was going to allow them to omit the cover page whilst doing the assignments. The students were not happy with this, including Peter, of course, and he sent the following email, very long email. I will read a few sentences from that email. There was a great solution for the assignment situation. You can omit the cover page. Now that I'm writing this, I'm starting to laugh out loud again. So apparently, I said that in a very funny way, which made him want to laugh out loud. Do you not find this laughable yourself? We have a lot of respect for the fact that you dare to put a teacher in front of the class who has been in the Netherlands for 1.5 years. Ooh. I stayed calm, but hey, I needed to still give them a lecture the following week. Exciting! I could not wait for this. Now that's a joke, of course. While everyone expected that I would not show up the following week, I showed up, stood in front of the class with a lot of courage, and luckily, no one brought this up. And it stayed like that till the end of the semester. At the end of the semester, it was decided that Peter would not be allowed to be the class representative anymore. The reviews that the student filled in were positive, which meant that Peter did not represent the whole or the majority of the class. And the evaluation I got from the from my manager was also in general very positive. He said, amongst other things, Mohamed can handle conflict very well. Ladies and gentlemen, the message I would like to share with you is, if you have a conflict, you have to face the conflict, stay calm, and sometimes saying nothing is the best answer. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mohamed. And we're all going to say nothing now, because we have 1 minute at a time to make an evaluation for Mohamed. So 1 minute for an evaluation. Okay, thank you all. 1 minute has passed. Our second speaker is Sina with the trap of competitiveness. Sina the trap of competitiveness.
Thank you, Toastmaster Fred. Good evening. Do you hear me, by the way? Yes? Okay. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. And yeah, first of all, I would like to share a personal story about competition. As far as I can remember, competition is everywhere around us. When I was young, I saw competition as a huge monster, and it scared me. During my school years in my birth country, I often escaped school. I remember there were two things that kept me away from school. One is being beaten by the teacher, and the second one, the competitive environment. You will be respected and loved if you were the first, second, and maybe the third best student in the class, whatever smart might mean in this context. That was because the negative side of competition was applied at schools, at my parents' house, and also in the society. Let me give you an example. He is better than you at school. That comparison makes us push to compete, or it discourages us. In my case, the second applied. I was actually discouraged. By the way, this comparison is still very normal in many societies. Some scholars argue that competitiveness is a biological trait that co-evolved with the basic need for human survival. In the past, competition was inevitable in situations where survival became challenged because of resources such as food, water, and shelter, to name a few. In some sense, competition is ingrained in all of us, but we should not forget the counterpart of competitiveness, which is being cooperative. That's also ingrained in all of us. There are scholars who view organisms as a collection of cooperative cells. To survive, nature pushed organisms through these two important traits, competition and cooperation, to the point where survival became possible. Having said that, is there any reason to be competitive in this era? The answer is no and yes. Scholars have a different view on competition. To put it briefly, we do not need competition in all areas of our life. But in practice, you see some form of competition everywhere. And the worst of all, the negative side of competition is applied. I came across an article which really resonated with me. I'm quoting a phrase: "A competition brings out the best in products and the worst in people." And I believe it's very true if we look at the end result. Let me dissect this phrase. The second part is quite obvious. Competition brings out the worst in people. A good example is war. It also happens in sport. Using drugs to improve performance, and cheating happens, lots of money and effort spent to prevent corruption in sport. And the first part, which is competition brings out the best in products, we see in business, competition does a very good job. Products and services are improving, and they are getting cheaper. Consumers benefit very much from this concept. What I'm doing here is looking at the end result. If we look behind the scene and the entire process, it's not that beautiful as it sounds. Let me give you an example. Many clothes that we can wear are produced under difficult working conditions, and the environmental damage is indescribable. In general, we don't care much about that. We only look at the end result. That's only what we see. So why do we compete then? Among many reasons, I believe because we do not know anything better yet. as many claim to get motivated and focused to achieve something in certain time. And competition is a good tool to activate motivation and focus. Majority of us are driven extrinsically, majority of us are driven by extrinsic motivation. And again, competition serves that. And maybe competition forced us to become extrinsically motivated. Last but not least, we think only result matters and not the process. Are there any alternatives to competition? The answer is also not one-sided. First, what I believe, before competing, we need to learn at least to cooperate and critical thinking. And also self-knowledge is a very important skill in competition. Second, we have discussed briefly competition, which mainly activates motivation and focus to achieve something in a certain period of time. If we have a well-defined and clear goal or a life goal, motivation and focus happens naturally. To summarize, the easy way is not always the right way. Competition is not always the best solution. If it works in one area of life, doesn't mean you can apply it in other areas. In fact, not everyone is competitive to get the best out of themselves. I will leave you with one question and one tip. And the question is, what is competition for you? And the tip is, look for yourself around you, open-mindedly, whether competition serves us or damages us. Thank you. Back to the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sina, for your speech. Again, we got all 1 minute to give an evaluation to Sina. Okay, the 1 minute is gone right now. So now we go over to the last speech. I lost my tablet now. The last speech is from Faisal. The title of his speech is Road Trip. Road Trip, Faisal. The stage is yours, Faisal.
Yo, Faisal.
Thank you. Dear fellow Toastmasters, have you ever made a decision which changed the course of your life? What did you do to survive? Let me bring you back to the 1996. That was the time when I just graduated from junior high school. A few months before graduation, I spoke with my father and I told him like this: Dad, you know, if I get the right grade, I want to go to the senior high school far, far away from home. because I want to go to the famous university in Indonesia. With that full of power, and then my father told me, I can see that you're very passionate about it. I will do everything for you to make it happen, to go there. So by the time when the evaluation came, I did it. I got a good grade. And I told my father, Dad, look, I got a good grade. Now you have to bring me there. So what my father said, yes, we will go on a road trip. We will bring the whole family. But the problem was, there was only 4 of us, my mom, my dad, my sister and I, and the only one who could drive was only my father. So he had to prepare everything by himself. Well, not necessarily true, because my mother also helped, but she couldn't help him during the travel. Luckily, my father had a good friend, so he told him, could you accompany me to bring Faisal go to Bandung? Just for your information, I live in Padang, this is Sumatra, on the other side of the island, Indonesia, and Bandung is in Java. When you look on the map, it will take about almost 1,500 kilometers. And back in the day, when the travel via, well, when you have to travel with the plane, it would take so much money. So we had to do it by car. And it would take about 36 hours. Yeah. But my father, he was a great person who can do good preparation for a road trip. He checked the good engine and then he prepared. So look, we only had like a small Hijet 1000. This for those who don't know car, is more like Daihatsu. It's a Japanese car, and it's quite big. So we have like 3 passengers, and then what he did, so he took the chair on the middle, and then only left the passengers in the front and on the back. In the middle will be just a big mattress for us can sleep. And before going to Bandung, he called everyone. He informed, look, we will be there at this time and you have to come to fetch us. You have to bring us somewhere, or you have to get us a room. So we have a lot of friends. We in Indonesia, we have a lot of family. So no matter what, and my father is one of the good PR. So once he get everyone in person, then the aunties or the other families will help him for sure. And what we did that day during the trip was just enjoying ourselves, and no problem whatsoever during the trip. Until one night when we were in a trip, that the car was broken, and well, luckily it was fine at the end, that we had a help as well from the local people. Let me bring you back 25 years later. Last December, I changed the course of my life for the second time. After almost 8 years working in a company, I decided to let my role go. I decided to change the course of my career. It was tough. It is still tough, especially in this time of Corona. But I try to take some lessons from what my father did back in the day for a road trip. He prepared everything before going for a road trip. He informed everyone he knows to help during the trip and at the end of destination. And last, we finally could enjoy the trip. So let me give you the moral of the story. If you ever made a decision which changed the course of your life, don't forget this. Prepare yourself. I, inform, and E is enjoy. Don't forget to bring the pie. Fellow Toastmaster.
Thank you, Faisal, for your speech. So again, everyone will have 1 minute to evaluate Faisal. Okay, the 1 minute is over at the moment. So now we get over to the next person and the evaluation. The first evaluator is of Mohamed. Sorry, I missed that. Who did the first evaluation?
Wait, do we need to do table topics?
Oh yeah, table topics first. Yes, let's do table topics first. Yes. But they have, yes, we had a table topics master. It was Maximilian. I'm sorry, Maximilian. So you're up as table topics master. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, the Toastmasters. I think it's a great evening for table topic, right? Just very briefly, I want to explain, of course, why we make the table topic and why it's actually so important. Because it has actually a very important role, the table topics, in every Toastmasters meeting. Just because we all have the chance to speak. And by that, I mean, of course, not only the speaker, the evaluator, no, everyone who's here. And I don't know if we have guests. If we have guests, you're also heartily welcome to participate in the table topics. But why is it also important? It's not about speaking, it's also about taking the chance to improve your abilities and skills in different fields. For instance, in listening, you have to listen to the topic and you have also to listen, of course, to the question. And then we'll come to the second thing, what you can improve, which is thinking quickly. As it is often in life, you are free to make fast decisions, and this is a way how to improve it. And then I think one of the most obvious things what you can improve in the table topics is the improvisation. Why improvisation? I think every one of us had sometimes in their life a situation where we're confronted with a question and we just didn't know what to reply. So we just said something, and in the evening, then we're lying in the bed and think, That's what I should have said. So take now your chance and improve your improvisation skills so that you never have to regret something in your life anymore. Yes, and the last thing, of course, is convincing, because in this short time, you can convince with your point of view, with your answer. Today's theme is a Roman new calendar. Therefore, also prepared the questions regarding or related to this topic. Also, don't forget to use the word of the day, which is nascent, the beginning to exist. And just before we're going to the first question, I would like to give also the time, more or less the regulations what we have there. So you should speak then from 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, the timer should then show the green background, then the yellow at 1:30, and the red background at 2 minutes. I prepared 10 questions. We will have 4 participants, volunteers, and the volunteers can then choose a number from 1 to 10. And after that, I can share then the question today. With that said, who would like to start with the table topics? Just raise your hand. Just wanting to say, if no one raised the hand, I will just, there. Kinting. Can you share me a number from 1 to 10?
2. I will leave the 1 for Sina.
Okay. Number 2. Which day is your favorite day of the year and why? So Kinting, which day is your favorite day in the year and why?
My favorite day of the year is 4th of March. Yes, 4th of March. It's not because the winter starts, winter has ended. It's not because the Roman year started. It's not because a lot of my relatives have their birthdays and then I will get invited to a lot of parties. Because as you know, not a lot of parties can be given now due to the lockdown. But the reason that the 4th of March is my favorite day of the year is that it is today. We often forget to enjoy the moment we're in, the life we have now, and the experience of today and now. So that's why my favorite day of the year is the 4th of March.
That was a very great answer to that. I think we all have to be thankful for every day we are here and to make it as our favorite day. Thank you for that, Kinting. Who would like to go next? Sina? I think this was already determined. Can you share, please, a number from 1 to 10?
3.
3.
Yes.
Number 3. This is a little bit related, not to the calendar, but more to the Roman Empire, or more or less Rome. The question is here, what is your association with the city of Rome? Sina, what is your association with the city of Rome?
A great question, and to be honest, I'm not really, I don't have any association with Rome directly, but I read a lot about philosophers like, I cannot remember the names, but a couple of philosophers I read. Let me just think about. No, I cannot come up with. And and also it has lots to do with the history. I'm interested in history as well, and I've never been in Rome. I wanted to go, but it never came. That was a great question, and I have no relation and nothing with Rome. That's it.
You have something in common with me. I was also not enrolled, but I would really like to. Thank you for that, Sina. And I would then go and would like to ask for a third volunteer for the table topics. So then I would like to do this to Mohamed. Now, a student from Rotterdam University of Applied Science asked a teacher, which number would you like to choose, 1 to 10?
Maybe 8.
8. What was your best New Year experience? I mean, our New Year, 1st of January. So what was your best New Year's experience, Mohamed?
That's a very interesting question. My best New Year's experience was back in 2019. I started my job in September, but then by December, I had already given about 7 or 8 lectures, and I knew that this was for me. I knew that this was the job that I want to continue doing maybe for the rest of my life. I really like speaking in front of people, explaining what I know, sharing the information I know. That was really one of the best New Year's Eves that I have experienced in my life. The other thing is that I came here on a program to look for a job in my field, and at that time I had, as I said, given a lot of lectures, and I knew that this was for me, this career. But I had also returned back every single cent I have paid since I came to this country. So that was really great. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Very insightful. And now, the fourth person I would like to ask who would like to participate now? As the fourth person. Yes, Amaru. Can you share with me a number between 1 and 10?
I think they haven't said 5 yet, so I'll say 5.
No, so 5. It's a tough one. If you would have the chance to go back in time and change one thing, would you do it, and why? So if you would have the chance to go back in time and change one thing, would you do it, and why? Amaru.
Yes, thank you. I actually have thought about this question very often because I'm preparing for some interviews, and I think sometimes they ask these weird questions that you don't really know how to answer. And I have actually 2 answers for this. So the more professional one would be that I wouldn't like to change anything in my life, because actually everything that I've experienced until now has made me the person that I am right now. And I'm very happy with all the skills and the person that I am at this moment. And then if I actually think very deeply about this question, my personal one would be that I would like to have spent more time with my grandparent, my grandpa, before he died, because I was very young whenever it happened, and I wasn't really in the mindset to spend more time with him whenever before it happened, because he lived in Argentina, and the times that I went to see him were not very often. So if I had the chance to go back in time, I would love to spend more time with my grandpa before he passed away. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that as well. It was very interesting to see your answer with that. Yes, we heard 4 great table topics. Thank you very much for Kim Tin, for Sina, for Mohamed and Amaru. It was very interesting to listen to that. And with that said, thank you very much for volunteering here. I will give the word back to the Toastmasters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maximilian. And I think you have also some other credits. Normally do at the end, but our Maximilian, he won the area contest of the speakers. So I want to applaud him. Well done. You made our club proud. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hey, and of course, I wasn't a mistake because Mohamed was evaluated by the group. That's not common, but I hope you got a lot of feedback back from the group. So I'm going now over to the first evaluator, and the evaluator of Sina, and that's Magdalena. Magdalena, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Fred. First of all, I think, Sina, that was your second speech, if I'm correct. Yeah, okay. So honestly, you came across like a really confident person. You had a little bit of like some tension in your body, but you made a really, or you left a really good impression. The topic of your speech was really or is close to me because the competition is part of my life always, and I had to fight with it to not treat it too seriously. So that was really interesting. You really finished it well by leaving the question, which was like a seed left in the head for further thinking. What is the competition for you? So that was a really good point of your speech. I really liked that one. I like the part when you mentioned that competition can get out the worst in people and the best in products. That's really like you twisted in a really good way. Some tips which you could maybe improve is that you mentioned you attach to so many topics the part of competition that if you want to live the topic more memorable, which Alice mentioned, it's like you could repeat it. You could cut it, maybe a little bit narrow it, and repeat it. And here you mentioned your school, you mentioned cooperation, and at the end is the question, what is left in our heads? So maybe in the future you can a little bit squeeze it and live a little bit less. And small tip for the presentation, for me, a little bit you could improve your lighting in the room because you have a shade behind you, which is, at least for me, it's something destructive. But in general, I really enjoyed your speech and good job. And I'm waiting for your next speeches. Thank you very much. Fred, back to you.
Thank you very much, Madalena. So I'm now going to a third or last evaluator is Dominica. She will evaluate Faisal. Dominica, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for your speech, Faisal. So the title of your speech was Road Trip, and you started with a very pleasant story from the back of your day, which was very nice and personal, and it made me feel like I was getting to know you better. And I felt like throughout the story, there was some sort of connection established between the audience and the members of your family that you were talking about. So I have a really clear idea from the story what your father was like, what you were like. So it was like very emotional and really took us on this whole journey of your dream. But the whole time when you were telling the story, I was really thinking to myself, but where's this going? Like, what's the point? And then it came in the end. The whole point of the story was that you need to prepare, inform, and enjoy if you plan to do something life-changing. And I think the way you brought it across was very creative. And I think it was definitely really, really memorable, which relates back to what we talked about at the beginning of the meeting. And yeah, it definitely really made an impression. And it's something that I will definitely think about and will have to reflect on, because I think there is a lot of truth to it. So thank you for sharing that. And in terms of the delivery, I think your speech clarity was good. It was easy to understand, easy to follow. You had a few minor grammar mistakes, but nothing really big, so something to keep in mind. And let me have a look at my notes. Oh yeah, sometimes the breaks that you made between the words, maybe they were just a little bit too long, but it was also not really wrong, just something that I noticed. So yeah, I think I don't have anything else to add, but want to say again that you did a really good job at preparing your speech and delivering it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dominica. So this is now where we go again to our quiz master for the questions.
Okay.
Els, the stage is yours.
Yes, I can see that actually the quiz questions and answers have caught the audience, because my first question was, why do we want a memorable speech? Why would you like to present a memorable speech or memorable communication? Yes? Did I mix up the questions? No, I don't think so. I remember. Faisal, what did you say?
Well, I say everybody loves takeaway, but of course that it's an it's how I interpreted memorable, and I believe that with my message, like don't forget to bring pie for every time you make a decision of to change the course of your life. So yeah, I hope the pie can be memorable.
So takeaways, and Dominica, you had a different reason why you felt speeches should be memorable?
I think because you want to bring your point across.
Yeah, content. You have a good content, you have prepared yourself well, you feel you have something to share. That's why you want your speech or your communication to be memorable, that people stay with it. So then the question was but how do you make a speech memorable? Yes, Mohamed, good.
I think it has to do with trying to think about what other people want. So basically, ask yourself this: the audience that you're going to talk to, what are they thinking? What's in it for them? Is that worth their while? That's the question I think you need to ask.
Okay, so make sure that there is a strong connection to your audience and thereby a strong perception. But I remember King Sin having immediately an answer, and he even said it a couple of times. What do we remember? How do you make your speech memorable? Who mentioned it in his evaluation? Magdalena?
Repeat.
Yes, very good. You've got it. Repeat. And I think both Mohamed as well as Sina started the speech with, I think I can't hear you, but Amaru has said asking questions, right? Yes. Okay, or telling a story. So I think that now from the magazine I just noted, they say you could include a surprise element and make it in that way memorable. So the last question I had of my 3 questions is, how can we include a surprise element, or what type of surprise element would you integrate in your speech? Can we remember that one?
Can you repeat your question? Sorry, I couldn't.
If a surprise element makes your speech more memorable, then the question is, Sina, what type of surprise element could you integrate in your speech?
Let me think about that.
Think about that.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, I think so.
My internet is.
Mario, I see you have your speaker on. Would you like to
Yes.
contribute?
Yes, with as Sinan did with his speech, maybe with an open question, or maybe with a plot twist, as Faisal also did.
Yeah, an open question, a plot twist, an unexpected change. And what did Kim Sin say? What should we in particular not do during the speech? It was a bit of a joke, but I still remember it. Well, it was only memorable to me, Kim Sin. He said we shouldn't die. Hello. Okay, sorry. Anyhow, so that is another way of making your speech more memorable. Give it a surprise content, surprise twist. Back to you, Toastmaster.
I would like to add one. Did you see how Els made her remark memorable? She showed us something. What was it? She showed us this and it said memorable, yes. So you can use a prop, which she did. I don't know whether she did unconsciously, because Els is so good that she used techniques just subconsciously, but this is also a way to get your speech remembered. Use a prop. This Els is so good. I don't have words for it.
But she is well prepared.
Thank you, Quintin. Okay, I think before we go to everything, I will save you to the last, Quintin, as general evaluator. So now I go to the timer. Amaru, your first task.
Yes. It's actually not my first task because I was a counter before becoming a member, but now.
Yes, but now as a member, she decided to join our club.
Yes.
So welcome, Amaru, and already put to work.
Yes, thank you everyone. So yes, the evening was very on time. Actually, we started a little bit later with all the preparation, but Els took 5 minutes with the questions at the beginning. Then Mohamed took 6 minutes 44 seconds. Sina 6 minutes 21. Faisal 6 minutes 59 seconds. And then with the table topics, I also, whenever I had to time myself, it was a little bit difficult, but I tried my best. So Kim did 56 seconds, Sinan 50 seconds, Mohamed 1 minute 10 seconds, and I did 1 minute 39 seconds. Then for the evaluators, Magdalena did 2 minutes 18, and Dominica 2 minutes 39 seconds. And finally, Els, the last part of the evening, She took 6 minutes, 20 seconds to finalize. Thank you. Back to you, Fred.
Thank you, Amaro. And when you talk about the devil, oh no, sorry, about else, she's going to hit you with the earth. So else, the stage is yours. How many earths did we get?
Well, let me be honest, it took me some time to get in the role, so I didn't immediately pay attention. Sorry. Apologies, guys. But I woke up when Mohamed started his speech. Mohamed, you had 7 R's, and a few times you actually repeat words, like but then, but then. Okay, so something you can pay attention to. Sina, I noticed 9 R's in your speech, and Faisal, only 2. Well done. Max, in all your explanation, I've tried to catch many R's, but there weren't, only 2. Very good, very well done. Kim Sin, I didn't notice any Mohamed, you also had a table topic, and there you had 9. And that is potentially because it's more improvisation, so it's easier to say 9, and still 9 is not a very high number for that matter. Sina, for your table topic, I only noted 2. Then Magdalena, in your evaluation, you had 4. Dominica, you did very well. I hardly had any till the very end. So I'm not sure whether you suddenly felt more relaxed, and then there were 3 in a very short time. So all in all, you had 4 R's. Well done. Fred, I didn't hear any if so, it escaped my attention. Sorry for that, guys. That was it.
Thank you, Els. Okay, and for last but not least, I'm going to give the word to our general evaluator, Kim Tin. Kim Tin, the stage is yours.
Yes, I have to evaluate a lot of people, but for some I wrote something down in the chat already, so I will not mention everything, but I will only pick some people. What I liked very much was the quiz master, Els, because this is something I have not seen in other clubs. It resonates very well because the 2 speech evaluators use in the comment how to make a speech memorable, which is not something I hear for speakers who only do their 2nd or 3rd speech. What I really like was the table topics master. Maximilian, you're so organized, man. I really love it. Why should we even have table topics? You explain it to us, to be on our feet, to be prepared. And not that you wake up your spouse and say, hey, this is what I should have said. And what I also like is that you told the timer, indeed, the 1 minute, 1:30, and 2 minutes, because some people do not know and they get confused. And also you said, okay, 4 people can join. Very good. Because some tabletops must go on and on and on and on and on. Yours, man, this is really great. You also tied it to the theme. You made people choose a number. I think tabletop master was, sorry for other people, but you were the best today. I really liked it. If people can do table topics like you do, it will enhance the quality, not only of this club, but a lot of other clubs as well. What I also would like to say is about organization. I'm not a member of this club, so I had to call Fred what was the access code. And I've noticed that other times when I try to enter the meeting of this club as well. But Fred told me it's the same number, same meeting. Okay, then I know the next time I can use the same number and meeting number. But I did not know that. And it was kind of irritating that I wanted to enter early and I could not enter. What I also would like to suggest to the Toastmaster is that please have it on schedule who is who, because when Mohamed started his speech, nobody knew who was going to evaluate it, what kind of evaluation, and you should have all these roles prepared. It should be clear who was going to evaluate Mohamed. That said, what I really liked about Toastmasters is that you were able to improvise and to assign roles to all the persons in the meeting before the meeting started. That's what I would like to applaud you for. So coming back, I think that the meeting could be a little bit more organized, but Toastmaster of the meeting solved that. I like the Quizmaster, which also gave the point of memorableness, which the 2 speech evaluator used. And I really think the table topics master of today was the best role. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Kim Teen. Great to have good evaluations. I love that because we learn here. We not have to. We learn to fail first attempt in learning. And we always still learn. So I want to conclude this. I think we got everyone right now. First of all, Maximilian, you're going to represent the club in the division contest. I don't know who is going to the division contest. I cannot go, unfortunately, but I hope if you go to support our Maximilian, he's representing our club there. So I wish you good luck there. Then we go, of course, I already told it, Amaro, I wanted to welcome you to our club. I'm glad you joined. And so we're going to go through the year ahead. I also sent you also information regarding to get a mentor within the Odyssey project, because it helps you. Then, as you all know, I've sent already some mails out. Our memberships is going to pass in April, so I already sent some information out for the use of the membership fee. Some members already paid, so that's due. We have a new bank account. Please take that as notice. Then, okay. In regards to our executive team, unfortunately, we currently exist out of 2, but it's general that the executive team also will get a 360 evaluation from the members. So I'm going to send out the 360 evaluation in order to have feedback as your executive team. Since in July, we will have to elect a new executive team within our club.